Thank you.
A very good evening to everyone. I welcome you all to the third session of the Interfaith Harmony Week. And thank you, sir, for joining us. And Kamal ma'am, thank you so much, especially for your session and for moderating the events. And students, you will really benefit from all the advice that we get on these sessions. I look forward to questions on financial advice also, sir, since I've gone through your profile, which ma'am will obviously take over. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a wonderful opportunity today to meet Mr. Sandeep Sahani, which is the author of this wonderful book that I cannot publicize enough. He wrote it for his son, and it's called Dear Son, Life Lessons from a Father. His son turned 21, and there are 21 marvelous lessons over here. And I have been so touched by the depth of the wisdom that these stories tell. But let me just give you a background about Sandeep ji. He is actually a financial expert and an advisor and teacher. But he is a Chandigarh person. He studied here in St. John's and later in Modern School, Delhi. He's an alumni also, if I'm not mistaken, of Lucknow IIM, right?
Yeah.
And has worked with Asian Paints and other companies, started his own financial business. Yes, as a financial advocate, but finances requires the same mindset as we do for any other area of success in life, whether it is motivation or discipline or faith and trust, or whether it is a more interpersonal connection. So it is with this in mind that Sandeep ji is going to take us today on a journey, and he's going to help us understand what it is to have a religion, what it means to be able to have faith and trust, and what it means actually to practice presence in our life. Yes, so thank you so much, Sandeep ji. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your very, very kind words. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this group and to share my thoughts and my experiences on this group. So just give me a second. I'll start the presentation. The title of the presentation today is The Importance of Religion and what role does religion play in my life. I'll start with a quote from Dalai Lama, who says that this is my simple religion. There is no need for temples, no need for complicated philosophy. Our own brain and our own heart is our temple, and the philosophy is kindness. And my concept of religion also is very simple. When I do good, I feel good. And when I do bad, I feel bad. Religion for me has always meant synchronization between what you feel, what your heart says, and what you do. What I'll do today, prayer, the most valuable gift you can give someone. What I'll do today is I'll take you through a series of stories and try to bring forth the concept of religion and what does it mean to me. So the first thing is, just because you can't see God, it doesn't mean he's not there. There's a very old story about a Cherokee Indian and how do they mature as adults. A father takes his young son into the forest, blindfolds him, and leaves him alone. The son is required to sit on a stump the whole night and not remove the blindfold until the rays of the morning sun and shine through it. He also cannot cry out for help to anyone. Once he survives the night, he's a man. He cannot tell the other boys of this experience, because each lad must come into manhood on his own. The young boy is naturally terrified. He can hear all kinds of noises. Wild beasts must surely be all around him in the forest. Maybe even a human might do him harm. The wind blew the grass and earth and shook his stump, but he sits stoically, never removing the blindfold. It would be the only way he could become a man. Finally, after a horrific night, the sun appears and the young boy removes his blindfold. After overcoming the fear, it was then that the young man discovers his father was sitting on the stump next to him. He has been at watch the entire night protecting his son from harm. Like the young boy in the forest, we too are never alone. Even when we don't know it, God is watching over us and protecting us, sitting on the stump beside us. So don't be scared of the forest of life, of the sounds, of the noise, of the wild beasts and the fellow humans who may do you harm. Be a man, face the sounds of the jungle, and don't take off your blindfold before God. So that is what, because you can't see God doesn't mean he's not there. He's always there, helping us, protecting us. And what does prayer do for you? Maybe some of these stories I've already shared on the groups. So maybe you are familiar with the stories, but I'll just, for a sequence, I'm going to be going through them. There was an old farmer who lived on a farm in the mountainside with his young grandson. Each morning, the grandpa was early sitting at the kitchen table reading the scriptures. His grandson wanted to be just like him and tried to imitate him in every way he could. One day, the grandson asked, "Grandpa, I try to read the holy scriptures just like you, but I don't understand it. And what do I understand? I forget. And as soon as I close the book, what good does reading these scriptures do then?" The grandfather, sitting quietly, turned from putting coal in the stove and replied, "Take this coal basket down to the river and bring me back a basket of water." The boy did as he was told, but all the water leaked out before he got back to the house. And this action was repeated again and again. The boy kept on trying, and finally the boy got very angry and told his granddad, "See, it's of no use. You know, the water is not going to be staying in this wicker basket. What is the use of going to the river and bringing the water?" So grandfather told him, "Son, do it once more, and then let's see what happens." But just to show his grandfather, the boy again dipped the basket into the river and ran hard. But when he reached his grandfather, the basket was again empty. Out of breath, he said, "See, grandpa, it's useless." "So you think it's useless?" The old man said. "Look at the basket." The boy looked at the basket and for the first time realized that the basket was different. It had been transformed from a dirty old coal basket and was now clean inside and out. Son, that's what happens when you read your scriptures and pray. You might not understand or remember everything, but when you read it, you will be changed inside and out. That is the work of God in our lives. Just the reading of scriptures and chanting of the hymns helps cleanse our body and soul of all the negativity and promote brotherhood and righteousness. So this is what prayer does for us. And when should you pray? Again, a small story, maybe you've heard it before. It reminds me of another wonderful story about a sea captain who in his retirement skippered a boat taking day trippers to islands. On one trip, the boat was full of young people. They laughed at the old captain when they saw him say a prayer before sailing out, because the day was fine and the sea was calm. However, they weren't long at sea when the storm suddenly blew up and the boat began to roll and pitch violently. The terrified passengers came to the captain and asked him to join them in prayer. But he replied, "I say my prayers when it's calm. When it's rough, I attend to my ship." If we have learned to see God and trust God in quiet moments, then most certainly we'll find him when the going gets tough and we will not panic. Finally, how much should you ask for in prayer? Again, there's another wonderful story. A king was once roaming the streets of the city as a part of an annual religious procession. Suddenly, the king felt that one of his feet was getting burned as the heat from the ground permeated through the sole of his embroidered shoe. But why was just one feet feeling so? On examining it, was found that the sole of one of the shoes had fallen off a few yards ago, and so the foot was feeling the intense heat. The king's attendants quickly seated him on the side of the road and looked around for a cobbler. The cobbler was told to repair the king's shoe speedily. The cobbler stitched up the sole in a few minutes, and the shoe was given back to the king. The happy and obliged king asked the cobbler how much this payment was, and the cobbler said, "Nothing, sir. It's an honor for me that I could serve the king." But the king insisted that the payment should be made. So the cobbler was asked again how much he would charge. The cobbler was too embarrassed to ask for loose change for the job. So he replied, "Well, my lord, give me whatever you deem fit. I shall accept it." The attendant conveyed this to the king. And the king casually said, "Okay, fine, then give him 2 villages." And so it was. The cobbler couldn't have even in his wildest dream imagined that he'll get 2 villages. Similarly, what can we ask from God The God can give us the entire universe. What we'll ask for from him will be what? Maybe it'll be just one or two small blessings. So let's leave it to him. Let's leave it to God. When we ask for something in prayer, just let's leave it to him and let him give us what he feels best. So finally, what does religion mean to me? No, religion is an anchor. Religion provides an anchor in my life. It is something which brings in stability in my life. Religion gives me faith. Now, what happens with faith? With faith comes hope. I can hope for better things. I can hope for good things. And with hope comes miracles. So that is what religion does for me. Religion gives me a sense of gratitude. I am thankful for the things, that I am blessed with. That is what religion does me. Religion teaches me to be thankful. Religion teaches me gratitude. Again, another thing which religion teaches me is kindness. I don't people. I don't judge people. Why? Because of two main reasons. One reason is I have too many faults of my own. That is why I don't judge people. Second reason is and I think the biggest reason, we don't know the battle somebody else is fighting. So how can I judge him whether what he's done, his actions are right or they are wrong? So that is why what we need to do is we need to be kind to everybody. And that is what religion teaches me, that we need to be kind to everybody. And finally, religion, what does it teach me? It teaches me positivity. It teaches me positive thinking. It makes my life positive. I do my morning affirmations. Kamal ma'am always shares a morning and evening affirmations. I also do my morning affirmations so that it brings in positivity. I share these messages with thousands of people every morning. The idea is just to spread positivity. The idea is just to spread good cheer. So that is the basic thing. And it is said, whoever masters faith masters the dream. Because if you have faith, then you will have the ability to achieve, to believe, and to achieve your dream. This wonderful book called The Secret by Rhonda Bryan, I'm sure a lot of you must have read it. And in case somebody has not read it, I'll request you to read it, because this book is actually a game changer. And what is the essence of this book? It says that everybody has the ability to create their own reality. Everybody, each one of us has the ability to create our own reality. Thinking, and it goes on to say that thinking about certain things will make it appear. If we believe that certain things should happen, they actually happen. And how does it happen? It says, how do you do it? It says, first you ask. You have to ask for the right thing. Like I said in that thing, the cobbler didn't know what to ask for, and the king gave him two. Similarly, you have to know what you ask for. If you have to ask for something big. Ask for, dream for something big. Second thing is to believe, and believe not only in God. Yes, God will deliver. Also believe in yourself that you have the ability, you have the aptitude, you have the capability, to finally what? To finally receive it. So that is what it is all about. There's this wonderful law of attraction. This law of attraction says that whatever you believe, you will receive. If you believe that you deserve more, you will get more. If you believe that you deserve less, you will get less. If you believe, whatever things that you believe in, you will automatically get that. That is how the law of the universe works. So, and it finally ends with that thoughts can change a life. So whatever you think, you have to think right. Whatever you think, you will get it. And finally, the importance of gratitude. We have to be grateful for our blessing. We have to be grateful for what God has given us. You must understand, there's this old story, there's this old concept that if, let's say, 10 people in a room are in a room, and each one of us are told that, okay, put all your troubles on these 10 tables which are lying there, and then choose whichever table you want. I'm sure all of us will pick our own table, and take back our troubles, because everybody is going through some problem or the other. So, but our blessings on any day definitely outnumber, our problems. But we just have to count our blessing. But what happens is we end up counting our problems. So you have to ask for the right thing, you have to believe, and you have to receive. And finally, you have to understand the difference between faith and trust. I'll tell you another small story. Many a times we have faith in God, but we don't have complete trust in his abilities, what he can do for us, and that he shall help us overcome all our problems. This is an incident in a Mela which illustrates this point wonderfully. A person started to walk on a rope tied between two tall towers, several hundred feet above the ground, like it's being shown on this picture. So he was walking slowly, balancing a long stick in his hand, and he had his son sitting on his shoulders. The spectators were watching him with bated breath and were tense. He slowly reached the second tower. Everyone clapped, whistled, welcomed him. They shook hands with him, and as is the norm nowadays, they took selfies with him. He asked the crowd, "Do you think I can walk back on the same rope from this side to that side?" The crowd shouted, "Yes, yes, you can." "Do you believe him?" he asked. "Believe me," he asked. They said, "Yes, yes, we are ready to bet on you." He said, "Okay, can any one of you sit on my shoulder? I will take you to the other side safely." Everybody became quiet. There was a stunned silence and nobody came forth. So that is what is the difference. Belief is different. Trust is different. For trust, you need total surrender. We need to surrender to God. That is what is trust. This is what we are lacking towards God in today's world. We believe in God, but we don't trust him. We don't trust that God will take us to the other side. We believe that yes, he can, but we don't trust that he can do it for us and he'll take us to the other side. That is the difference. We have to, travel the distance between faith and trust and move towards total trust and total surrender. So what we need to do? We need to keep doing what we can and believe that God will do what you can't. Never give up. They say miracles happen every day, and they actually do. I've seen miracles happen in my life, and miracles don't mean, if I start wishing that I should become, let's say, the richest man on the earth, possibly that may not happen. But yes, I become a better person. I become a better person than I was yesterday. I become a better person than I was the day before. That is what is a miracle for me. So count your blessings, like I said, not your problems. Give thanks for a little, they say, and you will find a lot. So thank you, God. I'll just like to, end or just before I end, I'm reminded of this wonderful couplet from Saint Kabir. कि दुख में सुमरन सब करें, सुख में करे न कोई, जो सुख में सिमरन करे तो दुख दुख का एको होए. So during tough times, everybody remembers God, but forgets him during good times. And if you remember him during good times as well, you will never see bad times. So don't use your energy to worry. Use your energy to believe, to have faith that whatever will happen will be for everyone's good. As it is said in the Gurbani, the holy scripture of the Sikhs, Dukh vele ardas, sukh vele stukrana, and har vele simran. During times of hardship, practice prayer. During times of happiness, practice gratitude. During all times, remember God. This is the book ma'am was talking about, Dear Son, Life Lessons from a Father. This book I wrote for my son who was to turn 21, and I presented this book to him on his 21st birthday. It contains 21 chapters, and these are the 21 chapters which are there, which take care of each part of life. So these are my contact details in case anybody wants to get in touch for whatever purpose and whatever experience I can share with anybody. Thank you so much. Please feel free to ask any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandeep ji. That was a wonderful, wonderful talk. In a quick way, you took us through the meanings of the essential qualities of religion, but you also brought to us wonderful stories. And it sometimes I think stories bring out the essence of something better than the direct lesson itself. And especially the one that you spoke about of trust and faith, right? About the balancing and the tightrope walker. So I have a question for you. What
Okay.
inspires you to be your religion?
Well, can you just repeat this question, ma'am?
I said, what inspires you to be your religion? What is your religious faith based on?
My religious base faith is basically based on that whatever happens happens for good, and finally good things will happen if you do good. Good things will happen to you. It is everything comes back. I believe in the karma theory that whatever you do good, whatever you do, it comes back to you. So if you do good, good things will come back to you. And religion, frankly, if you ask me, it's a very personal thing for me. It is, once my son asks me that you do a lot of prayers and you do a lot of chanting and all. So what does it do? And he said, I don't believe in God and I don't do any prayers and all. I just had one small thing to tell him. I said, if you don't believe in God and if you don't, let's say, pray or do some form of worship, let me just tell you, possibly you'll be missing out on one of the biggest strengths that you may have. I said, religion gives me strength. That is, if you are, you're missing out on one of your strongest partners who will possibly carry you throughout your life, who will be your fallback. That is something which you'll be missing out. Not that you can't live without religion. It's not that you can't live without God in your life. You
Mhm.
can, but you'll be missing out. The journey will become much easier. The God may not give you a lighter load, but he'll give you a stronger back. So that is
Right. So
that
you
is
were
what will happen.
saying that you learn to become more resilient and to face life's, decode life's lessons with greater ease. So,
Precisely.
Sandeepji, today we are universally celebrating harmony of interfaith. Uh, this is an interfaith harmony week that has, of course, been celebrated throughout the world by the United Nations, and many mosques, mandirs, churches, synagogues, gurdwaras, they are all coming together to do actions that talk about interfaith harmony. What for you is a hallmark of interfaith harmony? I mean, why is it needed today? A, why is it needed to be celebrated? And secondly, what are the significance of interfaith harmony?
Ma'am, I think the biggest significance of interfaith harmony is tolerance. We I don't think there is any religion which does not preach tolerance, which does not preach the right values. The recent COVID has actually taught us that we need to carry everybody along and we need to take care of everybody else if we need to be, safe ourselves. If we need to, in COVID actually taught us that everybody has to be healthy, only then I can be healthy. So that
Right,
is what all the religions are also teaching.
right,
It is just that we interpret it wrongly.
right,
What happens is we interpret religion according to our own experiences of life, according to our own needs of life. you know at a particular point of time I may be interpreting it differently as from a different point of time. So that is what is happening. It is our individual interpretation which create the problem. But otherwise there's no religion which says that you don't be kind. I think all religions tell you to be. The values that they teach you is something like this. And let me tell you, ma'am, these stories that I have said, now some of them are from the Bible, some from the Gurbani, some from
yes,
Ramayan. All of them are, I have not given it any religious name, but they're all from all the faiths.
right,
So
right.
all the faiths are basically teaching the same thing.
Mm-hmm,
We're
mm-hmm,
just interpreting it differently.
right,
And what happens is a lot of time people pick up one chapter or one phrase and take it out of context and say, see, this religion says this. But that is totally out of context. The religion may be saying something in a particular context.
right.
So that is what how it is being misused.
Right. So, the Dalai Lama said that very often when there is disharmony or mistrust between religions, it is because we pay attention to a particular and try and say one is more important than the other rather than looking at universal. And interestingly, the word universal, uni means one.
Yeah.
There is the one world, and this is the one earth we have, and the one home for all of us. So, appearances are not always what we know them to be. There
Right.
is a question over here by Raviji about gratitude, and you mentioned it in your talk on today also. Would you spend a little time telling us about the significance of gratitude or shukrana in religion?
Ma'am, first let me just say that uh, I frankly don't interpret all these things from a religious context.
Mhm.
Like I said in the beginning, for religion for me is, if I do good, I feel good. If I do bad, I feel bad. It is something like that. So gratitude, again, shukrana is uh, something which makes me feel good. That is
Mhm.
the first thing.
Right.
Second thing is, I have a very strong faith that whatever happens for the best. We can't question God's timings. So he has a plan which is far bigger, and something which we may not be able to interpret at each point of time.
Mhm.
We'll be able to connect the dots only when the entire plan uh, is over, and in retrospect we may be able to connect the dots. But at the moment, what he's doing is as per his plans, and he's taking us on the right path. So we need to be grateful for everything. One. Second thing is, ma'am, like I said, our blessings will always outnumber our problems at
Yes.
any point of time. कभी भी आप उसको देख लीजिए, whenever you want to see, whenever you want to count, our blessings outnumber our problems. My father, I'll tell you my experiences with my father. He's 85, 86 years old. I keep on sharing this with him every day. What happens is, when I see in this old age, he has all kinds of problems and all kinds of complications.
Right.
So when I reach home in the evening, he'll say ki mere yahan pe I have this pain here and I have this ache here and this is my problem. And I tell him, okay, fine, wonderful, dad, I'm sure you have these problems, but let us see which problems you don't have. So I said, you are able to see wonderfully. You see your TV every day. You read your newspaper every day. You walk your whatever 500,000 steps every day. You're eating healthy. You enjoy your drink at times. You have your children with you. And we start talking. I take him towards that. Okay, what are the positives which are happening in your life? And suddenly things have changed for him. Things change for him, and he says, yeah, ye to sab kuch theek chal raha hai. I think everything is fine. So our blessings will always outnumber our problems. So you
Right.
have to be grateful for those blessings. So that is what is, I feel, that is the shukrana uh,
Yes.
that we have, that
And
we should have.
also, it reminds me of this other story that we always talk about, the two wolves inside
Yeah,
us, the half empty or the half full
full
glass,
that, right.
right? And whatever you feed is going to grow. There are two
Yeah.
questions here. One is about, could you share your slides? And if you could share that with me, I will post it.
I'll send you the presentation, ma'am.
And also, there's a question about faith and trust, because sometimes we are in confusion about what to do. Sometimes it's difficult to make a decision. So, do you just trust your gut instinct and hope that you have the faith to see it through? Or what
Ma'am,
should you?
there's this wonderful example which a lot of people give. See, they say that whenever you're in doubt, you must throw a coin in the air. And when you throw the coin in the air, it is not that it'll tell you the right answer, but at least you'll know what your heart wants. And
Right.
normally you should follow your heart. And whatever your heart says will be the right thing to do. So that is what I think should be done.
Right.
So see, there's this distance between faith and trust.
Mhm.
You have faith in somebody, and you have to build the trust that yes, this. And how will that happen? That will happen with repeated affirmations of something positive,
Right.
right? So that is how I think faith gets converted to trust. So we need to, once we traverse this distance between faith and trust, things will start falling into place. Then we have to, trust is total surrender. As
Mhm.
they say, it is total surrender. You have to surrender to your guru, to your god, to your belief that yes, everything will work out fine. That
Right.
is how. And that trust will not happen overnight. It'll have to be built over a period, through experiences, through some good things which have happened to you, and somebody who's held your hand over a long period of time. So that is how I think it happens.
And there's a question here that says, what is everybody's responsibility to be in an I mean, in interfaith harmony, what is in an individual's responsibility? How
I
do
think
we
the
promote it?
I think the first responsibility is to be a good human himself or herself. That is how, once we be a good, it has to start with us.
Right.
Let's be a good human. Let's be a good example. Let's be let's do our bit towards betterment of the world.
Mhm.
And I think the world will automatically start becoming better.
Yes.
People learn by example much more than by anything else.
And
So
you
we
spoke
must start
today,
to.
yes, and you spoke today also of tolerance, and you spoke today also about, having a sense of balance for everybody, right?
Right.
And taking the world with you. Hanji Deepti, something you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I many times, Sandeepji, I find this remarkable that I'm reading something in, say, one set of scriptures, and when I turn to another set from another religion, I find the same idea, but in a different kind of register. It is the register of words
Right.
that differs, but the
Right.
ideas are the same.
Right.
So I have this image in my mind, something like a large flower bed. Just as you have the soil in a flower bed, that is spirituality. And you have these different flowers blooming in that flower bed. There
Right.
would be dahlias, there would be chrysanthemums, there would be roses, there would be petunias, snapdragons, all those flowers. And then I wonder about the creator of this world. Sitting up there, he or she would be thinking, look at these stupid creatures. Can't they see these are all flowers? They may be giving them different names, but generically, they are flowers meant to spread their fragrance and color in the world. So, but that is the nature of evolution.
Yeah.
Everybody is at a different stage of evolution. So, a person who's holding a petunia may well be an enemy of a person who's holding a rose, right? But one thing is for sure, when you said that when you follow the path of faith and gratitude, it gives you a peace of mind that is so deep seated that nothing can
Can disturb
move
it.
it or shake it, right? So you have to feel these things for yourself. Many times when my students come to me and say, "Oh, you know how kids are. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. My life is ruined. Nothing is going to save me now." So I just tell them, "You have these many hours. Come back to me after these many hours and tell me what happened. Just stay calm." And then they come back after a few hours and then they say, "Oh, ma'am, I was wrong about this, and this. And this, that happened. I couldn't have done anything. This was the course of events." So, this is one aspect that I feel all of us should try and practice. Practice the pause.
Practice the pause. True.
Pause, and see what is happening. Perhaps the universe is doing something because it is meant for your benefit.
Yeah.
Right?
Ma'am, as they
Thank
say
you
now,
so
that
much.
you should always, there's this rule which says that whenever you get upset, you must see whether it'll matter 5 years from now, whether it'll
Yes.
matter 1 year from now, whether it'll matter 6 months from now,
Yeah.
whether it'll matter 3 months, 1 month, 1 week from now, and then you decide on your reaction. And
Yes.
like the example that you shared of flowers, the individual flowers are always beautiful, but the bouquet is always better. So so that is interfaith harmony.
Interfaith harmony.
So a bouquet
Would,
will always look better.
does anybody want to say something? Please go ahead before we close this meeting. Anyone from the audience, you are welcome to unmute and start speaking, please. I think Innocentia wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Where Sandeep said you follow your heart. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The part where Sandeep said you toss the coin in the air, and then however it lands, it's like listening to your heart. But sometimes when you're to make a decision and you try to listen to your heart, it's a bit confusing. So you don't know where to draw the line. Because uh, one side is saying it's correct, then the other side is saying no. It doesn't. So when you listen to your heart, let me put it in simple terms. You don't always get the exact answer. So
Let me
how do
just,
you get the exact answer?
I'll tell. Let me just answer to you that whoever, see, nobody ever said that you'll be right all the time. And you're not supposed to be right all the time. You'll also learn through your mistakes. But generally, it has been seen, that the heart will always be, will always be better than the mind. A mind may be, maybe more logical, but at times you have to take a decision from the heart, which will be, which may have an immediate loss, but in the long term, it will be better. And it'll give you far more satisfaction.
Just to ask you something, like now, if you do something which you really feel strongly from the heart, and then your mind tells you that no, it's not right, or it's not right according to society, it's not right according to many things. But if you were just to follow your heart and not use the mind to evaluate whether it's the right decision or not, so in that such a circumstance, it would be prudent just to follow what your true feeling is.
See,
right?
Yeah. See, the idea is to create the right balance. When do you flip a coin? You flip a coin when, after a lot of deliberation, you're not able to come to a decision. Right? It's not that you will flip a coin and you'll take a decision immediately. It will be after a lot of deliberation that has happened and you're still not able to decide what to do. Then you say, okay, fine. Finally, to tilt the balance, let me see what my heart wants. We're not saying that leave your mind at home and only take a decision by your heart. We are saying create the right balance. And this is the flipping of the coin or following the heart is just to tilt the balance at the last moment.
Now I understand. Thank you.
In fact, you could also do a little exercise that I often do. If I'm caught in such a dilemma where my heart says do this, but my mind says if I follow this course of action, some people may get hurt. So take a sheet of paper and make a big plus sign in one column and a big minus sign in the other. And then clinically write down what all is for this course of action, what all is against this course of action, and then do a count. The column that has more, follow that column blindly. Because you are in a situation where you know best. And if you end up hurting so many people, Aditi also has the same question. If the decision taken by heart is not socially acceptable, then what to do? Now, socially acceptable is also a spectrum. What is socially acceptable in Chandigarh may not be socially acceptable in Fagwada or Ludhiana or Bathinda. So it depends on your geographic location as well. Hence, since you are surrounded by people who are affected by your decisions, why not do a counting, mathematical counting? If I do this, this happens. If I don't do this, this happens. Which one do you like better? As simple as that. But once you've taken your decision, then stick to it. Then no dilly-dally and shilly-shally.
And let me just add that, you have every right to question the rituals or the societal norms.
Yes.
You have every right. It's not that all rituals are right. There's this, I had shared this post some days ago about rituals. And I'll tell you a small story. There was an army commandant who joined his command. And one day outside his office, he saw there were two guards standing next to a park bench. So he asked his junior, why are those two guards standing there? So he said, sir, I don't know. They've been standing here for a very long time. Since I know that they've been standing here, so maybe we can ask the old CEO and he'll be able to tell us. So they asked the old CEO. The old CEO said, I don't know, yaar. When I joined, they were standing. I let them stand there. How does it matter? So he said, I don't know. Let's check up with the other guy, with the guy who was there before me. So checked up with him. So he didn't know. So they checked. They went on going back and back and back, and then finally they reached a gentleman who had by now become a general, and they asked him, sir, at your time there were these two guards standing next to the park bench. So, and they're still standing there. What was the reason they were put there? He said, oh my God, is the paint still wet? So he said, listen, I made them stand there because nobody should sit on the wet bench. So you have every right to question a ritual.
Yeah.
Right. So it is not, there are certain rituals which are made, for different reasons. So you have every right to, why is this happening? So it is not that we need to follow these societal norms blindly. We must follow the norms of society. We must see, the basic principle has to be that, it should not hurt people.
That
has to be, it should not hurt you. It should not hurt the people. That has to be the basic thing. But otherwise, I think you have every right to question any norm which is there.
I will share with you today a practice that Lama Yeshe does a lot of. It's called aware. The first A stands for asking why you are doing an action. What is the meaning behind it? What is your intention? The W is to ask what the impact will be out of this intention. And so you look at the ethics of the problem also. The third A is to accept whatever situation and the outcome is going to be in a way that actually allows the solution to unfold. But the R is very important of aware, which says, is my thought or belief based in reality, as you said just now, Sandeep? Is it based in reality as exists today? But the E is the most important, which is the embodiment. You can have every thought in your head and every idea of wisdom and ethics in your head. But if you don't implement it, if you don't embody it, then it has no impact.
Right? Very well put. Very well said. In fact, somebody's also written that is the voice of the heart the same as gut feeling?
Yeah, gut feeling comes out of experience. Gut feel is what? Gut feel is it's basically out of experience.
Experience, yes.
Your personal experiences.
And that's exactly what your heart tells you. You've been through this earlier, take care.
Don't hurt yourself.
And we are, I think, Sandeep ji and Kamal ji, we are living in an age where there is this clash of ideas. Our civilization and culture is designed for self-sacrifice, as Aditi writes in the chat box. We've been told, be the self-sacrificing type, give yourself up for society, come on, you are altruistic, you take care of the world, etc., etc. But if you recall Ayn Rand was one of the first scholars in the West to question this whole idea. And she said, selfishness is a virtue. Take care of yourself first, only then will you take care of society. And Mahatma Gandhi said it in a different way when he said, be the change you want to see. So if you want people to take care of themselves as individuals, this is the first thing you need to tell them. First, take care of yourself, my dear, and only then can you take care of your community and society. What will we do with a society full of unhappy people? As you said. So if any ritual is making everyone unhappy, why not question it? Go ahead. Maybe you are the person to cast the first stone into the water and disturb the calm of the water. Sometimes, as they say, Sagar Manthan. What is Sagar Manthan? The churning of the seas leads to creation. So many times you have to disturb a given order. The old order changeth, yielding place to new, as Tennyson said. And God fulfills himself in many ways, lest one good custom corrupt the world. So many times you may be the individual who's given the duty of breaking an old order, of changing an old order. So that is where your gut feeling comes in. Is this going to help me? is this going to help the people around me? These
I-
are the questions.
I also would like to add one small idea over here, which is about, gut feelings are usually very instinctive. They are based, as we know today, on the trillions of bacterial cells in your gut that are picked up by the vagus nerve that actually go straight into the vagus nerve is like all around it. The vagus is a Latin word that means meandering. So it is a meandering nerve. It goes from your gut literally up to your spine. Now, the vagus nerve's first is duty is to be a watchdog. It is to be like, the guardian outside to protect you from an unsavory or unsafe environment. So the gut in your body is trained as also it happens, of course, with conditioning. So the heart over here has its own brain. I'd like to add that, right? Gut has trillions of bacterial gut cells that have their own brain. The heart has 40,000 cells around the heart. So the heart actually has its own brain. Your message goes from the gut and the heart to the brain, so that the direction of dialogue from down up is far more than up down. This is science.
Yeah.
This is science, but we are, pay homage to the brain. We pay homage and matha teko to everything that is, I have thought it, so it has to be true.
Let me just add my bit to that selfishness thing that ma'am was saying. No, it's like the most common example is that we always illustrate. It's like when you board a flight and the air hostess makes those announcements. And what does she say? The first thing that she says is, in case of an emergency, please take care of yourself first.
Yes.
Life vest has to be on you first, and then put it on your dependents.
Yes.
Unless and until you can take care of yourself, you'll not be able to take care of your dependents.
Yeah.
And this is said for even those who are carrying little children with them.
Yes, yes.
So that, in our financial planning and our financial advisory business also, we tell everybody that you must first plan for your retirement, and then you must plan for something else.
Yes.
Because unless and until you are able to take care of yourself, how will you take care of the world?
Right.
So
May I ask something, if I'm allowed?
Of course, you're allowed, Aditi. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I am a tarot card reader. Day before yesterday, I got some person and he asked, that is why I asked this question here, because I thought this is the best place. I was not able to answer his query. His question was that he was in some other relationship going on in his life after, having some extra kind of thing in his life. And now he's emotionally and mentally attached to that other person. But he asked me that what is all going on in his life. He's not able to leave that particular individual. So in that case, what should he do, heart or mind? That is what I wanted to know.
That's a very difficult question.
Aditi, if I may intervene.
Yeah, please.
Right? If I may intervene, we are talking about spirituality and we're talking about interfaith dialogue of tolerance and duty. We're talking about also today about the ethics of hurting and harming other people through our choices. And we talked also today about selfishness, and it's like a child in a toy store or a bakery that wants to eat and sample from many things. Just because something tastes good, it may not be in the best interest of your health. I think when you have to weigh the attitudes of duty, discipline, and the vows you have made and see the ethics involved, there is no right or wrong answer. That, as Deepti madam said, value and evaluate for yourself. What is it going to cost me? What is my intention? What is the impact of this? I don't think anybody else has a right to give a judgment on the decisions what somebody else makes, but it is, if he has come to you, your duty to pay you put down options and give a decision that he can embody in his own life, that he has to live with, right?
Wonderfully.
By chance, you are right, ma'am. By chance, the cards also said the same thing, that he is on a bad track, so he should change his track. But when he was explaining his situation to me, he was quite, जिसे कहते हैं कि वो उस दलदल में इतना फंसा हुआ था that he was not able to understand the realities. So it is the only matter of time which I suggested him, that with time he will gradually learn. Yeah.
Actually, Aditya, it is what you have touched upon is about what Dalai Lama says. He talks about particular and universal. So this is really what I'm talking about. The attachments that are particular and universal. Uni means including all, for the benefit of all beings, including myself, right? So you can't say that my happiness can exist in isolation if it is impacting someone in a deep level of suffering, right?
That is again a bad karma he is earning. Yeah.
You know, that is a judgment where you can say it's right, good or bad, or right or wrong, right? But we have to see ourselves as part of the oneness. In Sikhism, we know that the evil and the good were created by the same force of energy, and neither one is to be aligned with or negated. And because if you look at quantum physics, we see particles, and what appears to be real and form is not. And this is science today that talks to us about shunyata and emptiness in the same way as it talks about the black hole and it talks of creation.
Yes,
so it is a universal that I'd like to talk about, not the particular. Love for humanity is brotherhood of all beings. It's universal oneness. If I look at particular, my greed, my need, then I've lost the plot.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Exactly.
think on that note, we can wrap up this session.
Thank you so
The
much.
universal brotherhood. Sonia, may I request you to deliver the vote of thanks, please?
Yes, ma'am, sure. But before I do that, I was reminded of our conversation. Ma'am, remember I asked you that, ma'am, why don't you ever get angry? And what you said, sir has said again today, that we don't know what battles the other person is facing. And I see that all of you, Kamal ma'am, sir, and ma'am, you who are into these things from a long time, into meditation, into religion, and into such interactions that like we are having today. First of all, you all look a little different. You all have a glow. And then you're all very calm, and I hope a lot of students who are attending this session, we look up to you and to learn these things and to practice, because I practice whatever in our normal conversation. And ma'am also said that the invocation of that water to take away the pain, remember, ma'am? So she told me, Sonia, try to be like water. And sir, today's in your session, you know, one thing which was not related to the topic, but it struck me very, it was a simple line. You said that invest for your retirement first, which I have been doing since my college days, because in those days I read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it really had an effect on me. I've read it many times, and it's one of my favorite books. So in fact, I'm looking forward to a session on such topic also from you, if you can, you know, help us out. If Deepti ma'am,
Yeah, we'll definitely invite her. No worries.
because that's one topic. The financial literacy is really important
Yes.
in at the right age.
We'll invite her. We'll invite her.
In fact, I've written another book which says what my MBA, the title of that book
Teach me.
did not teach me about money. So that is all about personal finance.
Yeah, so I was really interested, you know, to see you and to meet you and to talk to you, and also another session on that topic.
Definitely. Anytime.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure to be on this group.
Pleasure
to
is
talk
all
to-
ours. And now I formally thank everyone. And Kamal ma'am, you are a wonderful host. Thank you for bringing us in touch with such great personalities. And thank you, students. Thank you, Deepti ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Hope you have a great day. Should I end the meeting on this note?
I
Oh,
just
Kamal.
want to invite everybody. Gurpreet ji is here with us today
Oh.
attending, and he will be leading us tomorrow also on an interfaith dialogue. So please be here. He has talked on many interfaith platforms in the past. He's been president of many associations. We will talk about that tomorrow. But this is a rich and fertile ground of learning for each one of us. So please be here tomorrow also.
Sure. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.